Peace family, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by to say hi. If you are a return viewer, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you to come back to my channel and listen to what I have to say. This is Like in Life, and my name is Amanda. And this is a magical place where we learn to create the life that we deserve and our true inner Lycan, which is our light. And today we're talking about the autumnal equinox. So we're going to get into that in a minute, but I just want to tell you guys some things about what's happening with the channel and things like that, because it's really exciting for me. There's going to be a lot more stuff for you guys coming really soon. I'm going to be making multiple videos a week just about lifestyle, diet, eating, healthy habits, also just really fun stuff. I'll probably do some vlogs and stuff for you guys too, but I'm also looking to do more magical videos, which is something that I'm really passionate about, and sharing that with you as well. So in today's video, what we're going to talk about, and forgive me for looking at my notes because I literally just wrote all of these notes about an hour ago, and I'm filming this video for you guys so I can get it out before the equinox. So we're going to talk about the astrology of the autumnal equinox and what that energy means for us. And then we'll also talk about the pagan celebration of Mabon and the archetypal imagery in that story that celebration is based around, but then also how we can use that to our advantage and how we can work with those archetypes in our daily lives, especially as we move through this autumn season, and how that energetic shifts affects as we move through this portion of the wheel of the year. And then we'll also talk about herbs and crystals and some ritual guidance for your own autumnal equinox ritual. And this is also just perfect stuff you can use in your meditation. If you don't want to do a full-blown ritual, that's completely fine too. This is all just sort of me presenting this as an offering to you and to see what works for you, and you take what works for you and you leave what doesn't. So I've already created space for us here. As you can probably see, some of my incense is burning. I do have my frankincense and myrrh, which is something we'll talk about. It's a great one that you'll use for your ritual. And then I do have a small little candle burning for us too for this video. I just like to create that special space with intention and really let that energy come through the video. And if this message reaches you after the autumnal equinox and we're still in the autumn season, this is all very pertinent information for you still to be able to use during the season. Or you can save it for next year, but honestly, these energies and these archetypes can play out at all times of the year. So I'm sure there's something you can still get from this, even if it's not during the autumn season. And just here's my little reminder here for you to like and subscribe. That really helps me out a ton. That helps other people find these videos. And it really helps me be able to do this more for you as well. Also comment below if you guys have any questions, or if you're just interested in anything else, you want to know more, or just let me know how your rituals go, what your meditation goes, what you're thinking about, anything you're having difficulty with, just let me know. That also helps other people in the community as well, which is something that I'd really like to create here. I'm also working on updating my shop and website right now. Lots of changes happening as we move into this fall season that I'm very excited about. So just bear with me on that one. There's going to be a lot of really awesome products available for you guys, for you to use for your rituals and stuff like that. I just don't have them available for you quite yet. I'm just sort of figuring out all the details on that. I'm really hoping to have that up and running in the next couple weeks. So just stay tuned on that. If you're really interested in ritual supplies and things like that, follow me on Instagram. I will have daily guidance and meditation, and we'll also talk about astrology daily on there as well. My Instagram, I'll have it in the video right here. It's also in the description below. So if you do happen to go to my website now, like I said, I'm sorry it's a little bit outdated, but we'll have a new one up and running very soon. And all those updates will go live on Instagram, obviously also on the channel here. So just subscribe and then follow me on Instagram and you'll know when they go live. Okay, now that that is all out of the way, let's move forward with our content today. So, as far as the astrology of the equinox goes, so the equinox itself is the time. So there's 2 times of the year that the equinox happens, and there's 2 times of the year that the solstice happens. Those are the astrological markers of the beginning of the seasons. Also, that is when the sun moves into the cardinal signs, and that's why we call them the cardinal signs. Those are the directional signs of when the energy is shifting into certain points of the year. And the way that we like to think about it in ancient Hellenistic astrology is that actually it is the astrology that informs the seasons. It's not that, it's actually that is causing the seasons to change. It's not that they just happen to coincide with each other. That is actually the changing of the seasons. Which is a really, really deep and interesting concept, which I just personally is a wonderful thing to just meditate on. And so if you stick around with the channel, you will learn so much more about astrology, which is something that I'm so passionate about. And I'm really just dipping my toes in the pool of myself. So I'm really excited to be able to share that with you guys too. And so this specific equinox, the autumnal equinox, peaks on September 23rd. So that's when this energy will be most potent, is typically when a ritual would be held. However, if you want to do that a day before, a day after, even that entire week, that energy is still going to be very strong for you, probably until that next Monday. But like I said, anytime during this fall season, you can utilize these energies. And like I said, the archetypes here exist all the time. They're not just during this season. So you'll be able to use this information during all times of the year if you're interested. So the actual physical part about the equinox is basically when there is equal light and equal day. And so this happens once in the spring when the sun moves into Aries, and then now it happens when the sun moves into Libra, and now we have equal day and night. And so that's part of this archetypal energy, is the balancing of the light and the dark. And here as we move into fall, what it really means is it's where the sun goes into its detriment, into its fall in Libra. And what that means is that the sun is getting darker. So it's losing light right now as we move into the fall season, because now the darkness is taking over the light. There will now, from this point forward, basically from the 23rd forward, there's actually going to be more darkness than light during every single day. Obviously, this depends on the point on the planet that you are, and also as you'll see, a lot of this does focus a little bit more in the northern hemisphere, especially for the pagan ideas and things like that, because that does come from the Celtic tradition in the northern hemisphere. But from what I have actually heard from a lot of other astrologers that practice in the southern hemisphere, like a lot of our Aussie friends, they actually do think that a lot of this works well for them too, even though the seasons are opposite. So it's a balance of the light and the dark. And so there's no coincidence that this is also when the sun moves into Libra, and that Libra's sign and symbol is the scales, a balancing of the scales. Most people think of the sign of Libra as like its sort of token terms are balance and harmony and things like that, which are not untrue by any means. However, they're very generic and general terms as well. So the way that that I like to think about astrology, and the way that my teachers have taught me to think about it as far as the signs go, is thinking about the planet that rules them. And so Libra's ruling planet is Venus. Venus rules a lot of different things in our lives. But in general, especially when we have Venus and the sun together, when you combine those two energies, what we have is harmony, balance, equality. We also have partnership and relationship. So there could be a balancing in relationships, whether that be in a romantic relationship or a business partnership, things like that. I'm not going to go super in depth on the energies of the astrology right now, but those are just some general things. You can also think about compassion and love, generosity and prosperity. And that's when Venus and the sun are both in balance. Those energies are in balance, and where they're placed in your chart and all those types of things. However, if they're not in balance or ill-dignified in your chart, things like that, they could mean the opposite. They could mean totally different things. So these are just general energies for the collective that we can think about right now, and archetypes that we can think about right now. And that's sort of what I want you to take away from a lot of these videos, is I'm not really speaking to very specific situations. I think the horoscopic astrology can get really difficult that way. We're really just talking about general energies here. Okay. So this is also the time, especially in modern astrology, has now attributed to the harvest. And for obvious reasons, in the Northern Hemisphere, this actually is the harvest time. Again, when we talk about the pagan tradition in just a little bit, it's very similar. So we're talking about reaping what we've sowed over this past year, and sort of preparing for the winter. Do we have what we need? Did we plant all of the seeds that we needed to? Did we have a good crop? And things like that. And so we can think about this from an archetypal sense of our inner selves, or even just things that are actually happening in our lives. Are we able to reap what we've sowed? Did we sow what we needed to? Did we plant the seeds that we needed to and tend to them in the ways that they needed tending to? So this is sort of a checkpoint before we enter the cold and dark days of winter. Whether that be the cold and dark days in our soul and in our spirit, or the cold and dark days in our mind, or the cold and dark days in our body. Like, are we prepared for this time? And so it's just a check-in. And it's also a point where we can think about, did we do what we needed to in the last 3 months since the summer solstice, which is usually around like June 22nd, June 21st. What has happened since that time? Like, thinking back to that time, have we done what we set out to do? Did we keep our promises to ourselves? Did we keep our promises in our relationships? Anything that has to do with that. Did we follow our to-do list? Did we keep our commitments to ourselves with our health and our health goals and our, any type of goals you made for yourself, maybe career goals and things like that. And also remember, this is a kind of a special time because this, as we move into Libra, because this year in March and then also in April, we had 2 full moons in Libra, which is kind of rare. It happens sometimes, but not super often to have the same moon cycle in the same sign. So we had one the first one at the very beginning of Libra, and then one at the very end of Libra. And now we have a new moon in Libra, and this is our new moon for the year in Libra. And so this is really closing out that cycle, and seeing sort of where we've come from then. And that also hit that first moon in our first full moon in Libra hit very close to the spring equinox. And so we're thinking about almost this from equinox to equinox. So now we're talking 6 months. So these are sort of the cycles we're looking at for our lives. Like, what happened over those last 6 months? Did we reach those goals that we set out to make? Did we keep promises to ourselves? Kind of all the same thing. So look at it, those 3-month cycles, that 6-month cycle, and sort of do this check-in with yourself and see where you're at. Because now we've got 3 more months of this year, and then we'll continue on the wheel. But it's just checking in, right? And just see where you're at. But this also means it's extra potent because of we had 2 full moons where we were working very strong with this Libra energy, which is basically Venusian energy. And so now we're working with it sort of on the opposite side with new moon that's going to be coming next week. Yeah, I think it's a week from today that I'm filming this video, so it'll be on the 28th. So, and obviously the Libra energy is starting to come in strong as we hit the equinox. That's sort of the triggering of that. Okay, so let's move on to Mabon. So the pagan holiday of Mabon, I'm going to read you guys the actual story, the archetypal story first, and then we'll talk about some of the symbolism and stuff. I'm really going to try not to make this video super long, and it's already longer than I wanted it to be. But I'm going to try. So the story of Mabon. And like I said, the pagan tradition comes from the Celtic tradition. And it was an oral tradition that was passed down. And so Mabon is also means sun in the ancient Celtic language, or son of the mother. And so it's a young son, the divine youth, and that's sort of the archetype of Mabon, is this divine youth. And he's also the son of light. So just as the September equinox marks the significant time of change, so too does the birth of Mabon. Madrone, his mother, the great goddess, the guardian of the other world, protector and healer. She is the earth itself. So we're talking about a young male archetype with the mother archetype. Talking about a young sun, sort of a luminary, with the mother, Gaia, the healer, and the protector. So from the moment of the September equinox, the sun's strength diminishes, which is what we talked about, until the moment of the winter solstice in December, when the sun grows stronger and the days once again become longer than the nights. So Mabon also disappears at this moment in time, taken at his birth when he was only 3 days old. His mother is in sweet lament, and although his whereabouts are veiled in mystery, Mabon is eventually freed with the help and the wisdom and the memory of the most ancient and living animals, the blackbird, the stag, the owl, the eagle, and the salmon. His seeker asks the ritual question to each of the animals, to each totem animal. Tell me if thou knowest aught of Mabon, the son of Madrone, who has taken when 3 nights old from between his mother and the wall. All along, however, Mabon has been dwelling, a happy captive, in Madrone's magical other world, Madrone's womb. So he's on another plane in her womb. Even though he was just born only 3 days old, he's went away to this other world, this other plane, to go back into her womb, to get the nutrients and things that he needs. So, just got to find my space. So it is a nurturing and enchanted place, but also one filled with challenges. Only in so powerful a place of renewable strength can Mabon be reborn as his mother's champion and source of joy and son of light. Mabon's light has been drawn into the earth, gathering strength, wisdom enough to become a new seed. So that's the story of Mabon. And I know that's written in a little bit of a weird way and can be a little bit confusing, but when you think about it, think about the divine son, a youth, going back into the mother's womb to receive the nutrients and nurturing that he needs to be able to be reborn. So think about Mabon as the sun. Right now, it's going into the deep, dark depths of the womb, it's very dark, right? There's no light in the womb. And he's going there to get what he needs so that he can be reborn on the winter solstice and be able to shine his light to the world. And he's going back into the earth, and the earth can also be symbolized as our body as well. So we need to keep that light within ourselves through these dark and cold months so we have what we need. And that's kind of the archetypal imagery that this story is telling us right now. And this is what the earth is telling us right now. So this means sort of like hunkering down, checking in to make sure we have what we need for these next few cold months until the sun becomes back into its exaltation and moving out of its space where it's in its detriment. So the other part of this story is that it represents this dichotomy. So a lot of times in the pagan tradition during their ritual, they would be sort of celebrating this sadness of this light going away, the sun going away, the sun, S-U-N, and the sun, S-O-N, going away into the womb, but then also rejoicing in his rebirth and knowing that his rebirth is coming. So it's a time of sadness and a time of joy, and that's sort of the dark and the light, and how do we hold both of those in ourselves at one time? And like I said, this is what I'm talking about. You can use these archetypal energies all the time. It doesn't have to just be during Mabon. It doesn't have to just be during the equinox. Like, how do we hold dark and light inside of us? We have to have both. We can't just have one. There is no light without the dark. There is no dark without the light. So how do we hold both of them? How do we befriend both of them inside of ourselves to really be able to walk our true path? And that's how we do it. We encompass both of them because they're both useful. So this story is also really talking about, like I said, holding that light inside yourself. So as we go into this darker point of the year, it's holding that light inside of yourself to be able to project it out onto others, and not in a like harsh or like overbearing way. It's just like the sun is. You don't ask the sun to shine on you, it just does when you walk outside, you know. And you're not doing it in a space of trying to convince anyone of anything. You just existing and holding that light inside of you draws others to you who also have that light. And that's sort of what we're working on here at Like in Life, and why I want to bring more people here to learn this and really like grow with each other. So how can we hold this light and warmth inside of us and let it shine even in the darkness? So even in our darkest time, how can we let that light shine inside of us, right? What's the, there's millions of Bible verses, but what's the Bible verse that quotes that, you know? Like, I don't know what it is. I'm sure someone can put it in the comments below, but you know what I'm saying? Like even when you were at your darkest points, it was then when the Lord was with you. And so how do you hold that sacred divinity inside of yourself at all times? To really be able to move past those dark points and know that there is a rebirth coming, and know that the light is coming. Like, it's always just a cycle that we go through, a period that we go through. So, okay, I'm going to stop rambling. So this is also a harvest festival, a time for gathering what we've grown for the year and having one last feast before we go into this dark time. And we have to go into this more of this time of restraint. As we go into this time of restraint, because it's cold, and we have to sort of maybe budget a little bit more and sort of think about things, especially as we move in the modern days, we move into the holidays, we have to be able to budget so we can take the trips that we want to take, buy the gifts that we want to buy. So I think a lot of times people think about the holidays as being these very like extravagant things, but a lot of times it's because we're like spending a lot of money on other people and other things, which isn't a bad thing, but it means that we maybe have to have a little bit more restraint inside of ourselves. So how do we buckle down and really do this? Also, a lot of people are headed back to school. You know, they're done with their summer vacation, so they're not really going to be going on vacation probably until the holidays again now. So it's sort of like moving into this like period of the next 3 to 4 months where it's going to be sort of like buckling down and just sort of working. And so how do we work with that and hold the light the whole time? So we're having this one last feast on the equinox until we're ready to like move forward into this sort of buckling down time. So, and also because it is this harvest time, this is also a great time to do a prosperity ritual. I will have some products very soon for you guys to be able to do this on your own. And I will also make a video, if I have time, of how to make your own prosperity pouch. And it's obviously something you can do any time of the year, but it would be a great thing to do right now because we're sort of reaping what we've sown and seeing what can come to us and what we can now create in this time as we sort of buckle down to do our work. So some great prosperity herbs and crystals for you to use would be cinnamon, basil, pyrite, and bloodstone. Those are just some to get you started if you want to do something quick on your own. Before I get that video out, those are some that I love to use. Bloodstone is great for career success and things like that. Most green crystals really are great. And then pyrite, obviously, because it symbolizes gold and money and wealth, things like that. So let's move into some more herbs and stuff, and then I'm going to try to get this wrapped up for you guys. So some herbs you guys can use for your rituals, and most of these herbs are ruled by the sun, not all, but some. So they do hold, this is going to help you hold that solar energy inside of you for this time of year. And these are also great not to just use during a ritual, but use them to cook with during this time, and use them very intentionally at this time. If you don't have these herbs or dried herbs, don't go out and spend a ton of money. A lot of co-ops and stuff, you can buy them in bulk. So you can buy just a teeny tiny bit to like sprinkle on your candles and things like that. Also, some of these herbs do grow wild too. So just check. I know there's rosemary that grows all over, at least where I live, and plenty of people like have it in their yards. Obviously, just be respectful, but just break a little sprig off. You don't have to go out and buy the fresh rosemary that costs like $3 for 3 sprigs. Just, I'm sure you can find it in your neighborhood. That's really what it's about, like being being crafty and like being witchy about these things is really using what you have. So don't go out and like buy all of these things that I'm telling you right now. I want you to use what you have and like see what you can make on your own. So rosemary, basil, thyme, sage, yarrow, marigold, saffron, chamomile, passion flower, dried apple, oak leaves and acorns, yellow roses. Those are all great things you can use to bless your candles. You could burn as incense. You can use them to make teas as long as they are edible. I think everything there is edible. They may or may not taste good though. Most of them would taste pretty good, but some of them may or may not. Like yarrow is a little bit bitter. Saffron, you could make a saffron tea actually if you wanted to. Passion flower is definitely bitter, so you would want to mix with other things. Oak leaves and acorns, not really super edible. More so would be symbolistic or used as symbolism on your altars. And then, like I said before, frankincense and myrrh, it would be a great, it's a very healing consecration, sort of closing, but really that healing energy, very powerful, high vibrational herb slash resin, that you could use for this ritual. Obviously, again, like I said, use whatever you have. You don't need to go out and buy frankincense and myrrh incense if you don't have them. Although I will say they are a great multi-purpose one to have around. So if that's something that speaks to you, it would be a good one to invest in and just have around to use. And so crystals, let's move on to crystals. I know everybody's excited about crystals. So you can use these in your ritual. You can use them in a crystal grid. You can use them for protection. You can put them in a pouch to carry with you. Oh, you can also use these herbs and put them with your crystals, put them in a pouch and carry them with you for the season, even just for this week. Whenever you're feeling like you need to have that little bit of that, like really balancing of that dark and that light, these will help you with that. And also, I have a video coming out very soon about how to make these pouches on your own. They're super simple and fun. It's a great gift idea for the holidays and stuff too. So again, make sure that you subscribe here so you see that video. The bell will help you with that too. And then Instagram too, I will announce all my videos on there too. So hit me up on Instagram and you will be notified when all that stuff comes out because I'm so excited to bring all of this to you. Okay. So actually, let's talk about the crystals. So clear quartz would be a wonderful one. Citrine, topaz, tiger's eye, amber, aventurine, and gold. If you don't have gold, obviously that's fine. Use pyrite. Most people do have a couple pieces of gold jewelry. Even if it's plated gold, that's perfect. It's more about the symbolism here. And also gold is extremely powerful and very high vibrational. So even the teeny tiniest bit will be very potent for your ritual. And this can also be jewelry that you don't wear anymore or an earring that you've lost the other one to. Things like that are perfect to use for your rituals. Okay, so that's your, also, again, don't go out and buy all those crystals. I will say you should definitely have a clear quartz. That is the most multi-purpose crystal you could ever have, and it's also one of the only programmable crystals. So if you don't have a clear quartz right now, I would say go out and buy that. That is the one thing I would recommend to go out and buy. However, none of those other ones are necessary. Any other yellow or sort of golden crystal, anything that makes you think about the sun and warmth would be a great one to use right now. Even red, orange, like carnelian would be great too. Those would all be great. Like a red jasper would be awesome to be able to hold that heat and that fire inside of you. Okay, so we're just going to go through some general ritual guidance and then you will be free. Wouldn't it be nice if it was only that simple? Anyway, so like I said, this energy is going to be the most potent on Monday. I'm hoping to get this video out on Sunday. But like I said, if you're listening to this afterwards, it is still very potent throughout this entire season. And really, like I said, the equinox just marks the beginning of a season. So we've basically got 3 months to be able to use this energy. And like I said, balancing the light and the dark is something we can always work on and do. So don't be afraid to do any of this ritual any time of the year. So what I will say for this ritual is you will definitely want at least 1 black and 1 white candle. Again, like I said, balancing the light and balancing the dark. using both of those energies for your ritual. Typically the black would go on the left hand side, the white would go on the right hand side, but whatever works for you and what you're used to, go with that. As you will learn with ritual, there is a lot of things based in tradition, which is great and wonderful. I love tradition, which is why I love ritual. However, what is most important is your intuition. That is built in innately in you from your ancestors. And that's powerful. So use your intuition, because different religions and different indigenous people use different traditions. A lot of times they really do end up aligning pretty similarly to each other, but not always. So trust your intuition. What feels right to you, go with that. When you go against that, that's usually when your magic doesn't work quite as well. So go with your intuition all the time. So like I said, take what works for you, leave what doesn't. I'm just offering guidance here. So a black and a white candle, the black would be representing drawing in, and the white would be representing projecting out. Just for your magical purposes, but also like what you want to draw into yourself, but also what you want to project out to other people. All right, so then you're also going to want at least some sort of ritual oil. Like I said, I will have ritual oil available to you very soon. Just not yet. Got to get that shop up and running. There's a little bit more on the back end that I need to do. Excuse me. And like I said, if you want updates on the shop, follow me on Instagram. That is really the place to go. I will be talking about it on the channel, of course, too. So subscribe, but really Instagram, because I'm going to be on there multiple times a day, just shouting out when stuff is ready. So a ritual oil. Now, if you don't have this, you can make it one with any of the herbs that I listed before. Just use a carrier oil. You can put some oil over the stove, very, very light heat, and you can make that oil yourself. Or you can take a carrier oil and get essential oils of any of the herbs that I listed. Those would also be great options. Again, don't go out and buy a bunch of stuff. I bet some of those spices and herbs you have already in your home, just use that and just crush it up, rub it on your candle. You don't even need to put it in an oil if you don't have it. But please make sure that you bless your oils before you use them, especially if you're using like essential oils that you normally use for like your diffuser or other things. I would bless them anyway if you're doing that, but make sure that you're blessing them and clearing them before you use them for your ritual. And of course that goes for your candles, but you know that already. Again, like I said, franken myrrh is a great incense to use, but honestly, whatever you have, whatever is speaking to you, use your intuition. All would be honestly great options. Any type of warming herb at this point, like cinnamon, ginger, would be wonderful incense to use as well. This also would be a great time for a spiritual bath if you have not taken one recently. If you don't know what that is, there are plenty of videos out there. I will have one for you soon, but I don't have one right now. An excellent resource would be Pretty Boss TV. She has a spiritual bath video that she made years ago now, but it's great and still useful. And like I said, I will have one for you soon enough, but that's a great one. I'll actually have products for you to do that too, so you don't even have to put it together yourself. You can just buy the packet and you can use it for your spiritual bath. You can also do a shower if you don't have a bathtub. I had to do spiritual showers for a long time until I had a bathtub. So spiritual shower is still very, very potent, and I would highly recommend. Okay, so pick any of the crystals that I listed above, or anything that you have and what you're working with. Amethyst is very common. A lot of people have amethyst. That would still be a wonderful crystal to have, even though it doesn't fit exactly with what we're talking about. Amethyst is a very, very powerful crystal, and is slightly programmable too, because it is in the quartz family. So, like I was saying before, though, I think you should definitely have a clear quartz if you don't have one. That's a great multi-purpose crystal, and there's really no reason that you should not have it and you wouldn't use it. Honestly, you can use it for so many different things. Okay, so I think that's everything, you guys. I will have a list of all the things for your ritual, but those are just the minimums of what I would say would be good options for you. But like I said, whatever works for you, whatever you're used to using, those are my recommendations. If you want more detailed and in-depth guidance on how to do a ritual, you're not feeling like you've built up that intuition quite yet, please let me know. I would be happy to do some guided rituals for you. That is something I'm planning on doing, but I do want to make sure that it's something that you guys want. So let me know in the comments below. Hit me up on Instagram and let me know if that's something that you want, because I'd be happy to do that for you. Also, these are some things I want you to contemplate during your ritual. So contemplate the light and the dark and the balance of those energies inside of yourself, and how can you befriend them both? And how do we deal with these opposing energies in our daily lives, whether that be internally or externally? And how do we hold them both equally inside of us? And of course, it's not always going to be equal. It's not going to be 50-50. It's probably going to be like 40% one day, 60% the next day. Like, how do we play with this dance of these scales? And how can we let Libra sort of help us with that? And then I just want you to let your intuition guide you. Have fun with this. Be crafty. Really let that inner magic and that true inner lichen just be free inside you and enjoy this ritual. That's what it's about. Enjoy the harvest. And really, like, let's prepare to bunker down into these cold winter months, which are really just very clarifying for our souls and really help our bodies like shed excess weight, really detox in these months and things like that. So I'm excited. Like I said, I'm very excited for what's to come, you guys. I'm so grateful. If you made it to the end of this video, you are an all-star. Like, seriously, because I know that I blabber and I'm really trying to get better at it in my videos. But I am just so excited to be here and to be able to share this information with you guys. So if this was helpful, you guys, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Hit the bell if you're interested in more of this content that I've been talking about with you guys. I'm really excited for what's to come. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. I hope that this message finds you well. Peace and happiness to you and everyone around you. I really do truly wish that for every single one of you, and that's why I'm here. So have a wonderful autumnal equinox, and let me know how your ritual goes. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing. Tag me on Instagram with your ritual pictures and things like that. I'd love to see that and get to know you guys there, or leave me comments below and let me know what you guys are thinking you're going to do for the equinox. All right, happy Libra season, happy autumnal equinox. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.